Let's talk about YouTube for fitness instructors. Welcome to this episode within the KIPS Podcast, where I have YouTube instructor Jen Tufts, where she is going to talk about a plethora of things that have to do with mental health, YouTube content creation, and even how that applies to working inside a gym. Jen is more than a YouTube cycling instructor. She's also a general manager for a facility in Ohio. She also works for CycleBar, and she's going to talk about how that has applied to her YouTube journey. Before we get to the episode, I'm going to talk about two things that have to do with a YouTube journey. Now, if you're listening, you heard that word, you're probably thinking, what are you talking about? Is that even a real thing? When I share the term YouTube journey, I'm talking about a growth strategy, a development that you go through with content creation. If you were to go on YouTube and search how to get better at YouTube, how to make better videos, one of the common threads that you're going to see is your development. How do you get better at all the little things with content creation? Whether it is script writing, whether it is video production, audio, lighting, all those different things go into a journey of yourself as the creator. How do you get better? And then how can you apply that to the content that you're creating? Now, I think a YouTube journey is important for fitness instructors because as they move forward in their career and as things progress going past 2025, content creation will become even more vital for this profession. How a demographic that you are trying to attract consumes information, consumes marketing materials really plays a factor. So if you can learn how to improve every little piece that how your audience, how your demographic consumes content, that'll give you a leg up on the competition and hopefully improve your longevity within this profession. Let's now get to the episode with Jen. Jen, for our listeners, can you give a breakdown of yourself, what you're doing now, how you got into the fitness industry, and what you are currently working on?
Yeah, absolutely. So first I want to say thanks for having me. This is really exciting to be on here with you. A quick breakdown of me. I am the general manager at a local gym here in Toledo, Ohio. It's Super Fitness. Mm-hmm. And I also teach live classes at CycleBar Perrysburg. And I've got my YouTube channel.
Yes.
So how I got started in the fitness. So rewinding, I was in the veterinary field for a very long time. And I was always the staff member that got everybody involved in like 5Ks and like, the 30-day fitness challenges and stuff. And I just always loved it. And then I also was on a roller derby team.
Oh, wow.
So I'm a good skater. But that kind of branched me into wanting to change careers. I lived out in San Francisco when all that was going on. And then when I moved to Ohio, that's when I decided, I was like, this is a perfect transition period. Let's switch careers. So I started with Zumba. I was a Zumba instructor, and which led me into teaching or coaching CrossFit and some other HIIT classes throughout the area, just different locations. And then that got me into Super Fitness as a personal trainer. Mm-hmm. I got my certification and all that. And then CycleBar opened up in Perrysburg 3 years ago. Actually, this week is our anniversary. And they were looking for instructors. And I'm like, well, I got nothing to lose. Let's see what I can do. And I did the audition. I made it. And here we are.
Nice.
Yeah.
I will say that makes sense. You working in the veterinary field, seeing that I'm trying to think, 3 different animals on your.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I started YouTube with channel. I have in my old videos, I had a basket on the front of my cycling bike because I'm like, I'm going to be different and I'm going to put my babies, my guinea pigs. I'm going to put them in there, and they peed all over and stuff. I'm like, this isn't going to work. So then my dog ended up being my co-pilot, and she's doing great with it.
It's one of your mascot, and it works well with the theme and the vibe that you give off in your channel. And that's a great little segue into our first question here. I think that a big part of your channel and its growth is your authenticity. I am a regular follower, watcher, viewer of your cycle workouts, and your authenticity is really, I think, something that instructors could learn from. I think that being a fit pro, we sometimes try to keep things in different baskets and not have that crossover, which is fine. I think finding that balance is key. And
Absolutely.
on your channel, I've seen that you've shared about your mental health. And these are things that I think topics that some fit pros, they will either steer away from or they don't want to share. What was your thought process to be open about this topic, and how did your audience respond to it?
Yeah. So I have suffered with my diagnosis is clinical depression. I'm currently medicated on Wellbutrin, and I'm doing fantastic on it. I know that mental health has been something that's been kind of more talked about recently, but I've never really heard anybody be like, "Hey, it's me," you know? And it popped up in one of my CycleBar classes, because part of being a CycleBar instructor is we have this connect part of the class. And one day I was like, I'm just going to talk about it. And at the end of class, I had a handful of people that came up and were like, "Oh my God, I'm going through this too." And that made me think like, okay, people need to hear this. People need to talk about this and normalize this.
Yeah.
And, because fitness is such a vulnerable thing. And to be able to know that the person that's leading you also has struggles. They're not like some superhuman, like they're real. I think that's really important to the students and your clients and everybody. So.
Oh yeah. I shared a post like that, not even to the 1/10 of that. But yesterday I shared a post saying that how hard it was for me to get going on a workout. Probably took an hour and a half. I usually try to do a fasted workout every Wednesday, not for any scientific purposes, mostly just because of my schedule. And that's usually the day that I take a class with you in the morning on YouTube. And I couldn't get it going. I just couldn't, I was struggling. And you go through the mental process of, am I going to do this? And I shared it because there are so many people out there that are not consistent with their workouts, or they're struggling to get going, and they just need to know that there's somebody out there like them. And so you sharing that, people came up to you, shared that they were going through, I'm sure it meant a lot for them. For yourself, what was that buildup like in your head? Was it, or did you go back and forth about it? Did you think that maybe another week? Was there a period
talking about it again,
or no, just like to actually share about it once you made the connection that I do want to share this with the class? Was it an immediate thing?
No, it was a spur of the moment. Actually, I didn't go in there and really plan. So for me, my thought process is messed up by planning, if that makes any sense. So I go into every single class with an open mind and actually not knowing what I'm going to talk about. And that day, something about the vibe just felt like I needed to say that. I like to think that I'm intuitive and I like to feel the room. And I just felt like, hey, this is the day I need to share this. And then because I got such a positive feedback, I've talked about it more frequently. And again, even on the YouTube channel, I've had people private message me and be like, "Oh my gosh, I needed to hear this today," and stuff. So now that I've actually never gotten any bad feedback about it. Nobody's ever been like, "Why'd you share that?" or that, nothing. I've never had any hate about it. And that's encouraged me to know that I'm on the right track and that I'm helping people.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that is a perspective that somebody listening that they could benefit from. I'm sure that there are individuals that are more strategic about what they're going to share, and maybe they overthink it sometimes, and maybe
that's what I do. I overthink, and then I regret it. I end up messing up or something, and then I get in my head. And even with my choreography in my classes, I am like, go with the feel of the music. So
it's a good outlook to have. All right. I would consider yourself an influencer, that you create content that influences individuals to, whether it's purchase merch or take another workout or even start exercising. I would put you into that category. With some of these topics, that are out there that are tougher, what would you say for fit pros that are considering it? What would be the advice to start sharing about their lives that you would give them?
Start small, especially if it's really hard for you. Start with something small, like, oh, I had a bad day today, but this lit me up. Like, I needed to be here with you guys. I often say that. Like, I don't say it at the beginning, like, oh, my day's been so shitty, or sorry, my day's been so bad.
Maybe you have to put the explicit mark on when I upload this podcast now.
So, sorry. But I don't go in like saying that. Like, I don't say anything until we're deep into it. I'm like, you guys, I really needed your energy today. You know, I had a little bit of a hiccup earlier and you guys completely changed my day. Like, make it about them too. And, you know, start with little things like that. And it kind of builds that rapport, that trust with your people. And then you can start to share things a little more deep. You know, I wouldn't go in there and be like, oh, I'm broke and all this is horrible. And just like little hiccups, you know, like, oh, my kid puked on my shirt today. I don't know, just like little things. Start there, and then you can graduate into bigger things.
With topics, but also with classes, I think that there is that process that people go through that I'm not sure my audience will connect in these. There's also the ability to open up with them. I think that long form content has started to kind of push that out on social media platforms. People will write out longer descriptions to connect more with their audiences. Would you recommend that for a fit pro listening, that maybe start on Instagram, Facebook, whatever their platform is, and maybe share a little bit about themselves?
Absolutely. That was my first platform, was Instagram. And I did talk little sprinkles here and there about my mental health and stuff. And that also helped boost my confidence. But the first time I was like, this is me, was on the bike. But yeah, starting little sprinkles here and there, like, do this for your mental health. Like, make sure you take some space today to give yourself that self-love or something like that. And definitely, I would use your platforms and just do little sprinkles.
How would you recommend fit pros find their audience? I know that this is a question that a lot of fit pros ask about. And what has been your experience with helping you find where your audience is, and how can you share something that to somebody that's in that space, like trying to figure out those things out?
Social media, and I have found it very difficult because I actually don't know who is looking at my stuff. I don't, in person, I can see the person and things, but gosh, as far as like finding my audience, I use my analytics and see like the age and the gender of people and stuff like that. And so I can kind of have more of an idea, and then I can adjust my workouts for that. Clearly in the gym setting and stuff like that, I can see these people, but I don't know. I like working with everybody.
A quick break in this video. If you are needing CEUs, make sure that you head to the link that's in the description, where you can find all our online courses that have pre-approvals with NASM, ISSA, ACE, AFA, NTSF, and with Nesta. We of course offer free content on our YouTube channel, but if you're needing professional ed, with some of them even having the full amount to recertify, make sure you head to that link. And now let's get back to the video. In your mind, do you have an individual demographic that you're speaking to?
When I'm on the bike, generally speaking, I think I'm speaking to people like middle-aged men or women, because the struggles that we have, like for me at my age and stuff, I'm 39, but I still feel like I'm a kid kind of thing. So I have like that weird, I'm in that weird transition period. So I feel like I can connect with more middle-aged people, but also a little bit of like the 20s and older.
Nice.
Yeah.
One of the big areas that I wanted to bring you on the podcast was to talk about YouTube and your journey through YouTube. Before we started recording, we were talking about all the little nuances that individuals have to go through to start creating content. And
Mhm.
one of the things I do want you to share about is basically your process of learning about YouTube as someone that edits their own content, films their own content. And as you mentioned before, this was not your first career path. You moved into the fitness industry. What has that been like, learning all the little nuances and going through that YouTube journey?
A roller coaster. So many highs, so many lows, so many sad and happy tears. It's just been all over the place. My filming kind of started during COVID. I was teaching online Zumba classes. And so I learned a little bit like how to have the music a little more dominant and stuff like that, little things, but the quality was trash, absolute trash. And then I got involved at CycleBar. And so, I was learning all about spin and indoor cycling and all that. And then, I don't know, just something in me was like, I need to get on YouTube. Because I had dabbled in it years ago. In fact, it's not there anymore, but I have some old like Zumba videos and stuff. And I was like, it just was like this little thing in the back of my head, like, you got to get on here. You got to get on here. You got to get on here. And so I started posting like these little 5-minute fitness things. And I had a green screen because I was embarrassed of my space completely 100% because it was like a dungeon. And I'm actually down there right now, but I've completely redone it. I've painted it. But I used to have it draped in all green screen, and which increased my editing time and all this stuff. So, oh my gosh. So it started there. And then one day, because CycleBar is so branded, I was reluctant to post cycling videos. But I have one of the CycleBar specific bikes. I have one of them in my house, and like, let's just do it. Let's see. So I posted one, and I talked to my lead instructor there, and everybody's cool. Everybody seems cool with it. And so I actually got, that was one of my most popular videos, was the cycling one. I'm like, okay, this must be my niche. So, because I knew I wanted a fitness channel, but I wasn't exactly sure where I was going with it. And so then I did the cycling, and then that got really seen. And so I started doing some research, and I didn't find a whole lot of other indoor cycling instructors. There was 3 that popped up right away. I'm like, okay, maybe I can be number 4. I don't know. And so I started focusing on that, but just learning what software I need to film with, what audio settings I need to have, microphones, lighting. And it has been such a learning curve, a huge learning curve. And I am 100% self-taught. Lots of YouTube videos on how-tos, learning, and trial and error. Lots of crying over videos that I thought were filming and were not. And I don't know, maybe 6 months ago or so, they're still on there. There's videos where my microphone was dying, like a technical problem. Like the wiring was loose, and I had to go on eBay and find the one that I'm using right now. And, and so.
Yeah. What has been the hardest one for you between lighting, video, and audio?
Audio, 100%. And I'm still, before we started filming, you gave me some amazing tips that I'm really excited to get off and
you can't tell everybody that I do that.
Oh, sorry. But I'm just excited to learn everything that I can about the audio, and because it's a huge, what you listen to, that can make or break a video. If it sounds like trash, you're not going to want to hang around and work out to it. So, learning what I can and improving that is such a learning process, and I'm looking forward to perfecting it.
I think that is one of the harder aspects, is the audio part. And you were spot on that if the audio is good and people can hear the workout or tutorial or whatever type of content that you're filming, they're most likely going to stick around. If the video is bad, but the audio is there. I think that there sometimes is that thought in someone's head that this has to be perfect. This has to be the best possible video. They're comparing themselves to the biggest content creators in their space. I'm sure that happens to everybody. They go, they research and see whatever niche they're in, and they see all of a sudden a content creator, and like, oh my goodness, like I can't ever create something like that, and then it stops them from getting going.
I mean, it's intimidating. It's very intimidating. There's one person in my niche who has extremely expensive equipment. It's very apparent, and I am nowhere near that level, and it's intimidating. Like I said, and discouraging almost. But there's other things that can make up for that. So just getting out there and, it's like throwing spaghetti at a wall. Like you got to figure out what sticks. So
I have mentioned in other podcast episodes that I've done talking about a YouTube journey and how that's impacted my life in different areas, that when I started with YouTube and started to actually research, okay, how do I get better at YouTube and what are those steps? You constantly hear about that YouTube is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Oh my gosh.
And you are learning about all these different aspects to improve yourself. And that has paid off in my life in other areas, whether with KIPS, with the blog content that I write. I often take a similar approach. I'll say that I'm now looking at every single piece to improve a blog that goes up. How do I make this the best possible? If it's something I'm putting out there, how do I make it the best possible? And I contribute YouTube for that it really made me want to analyze every piece. Have you gone through something similar in different parts of your career?
Absolutely. Yeah. As part of my job as a general manager, they have also given me the social media duties. So I do the social media for Super Fitness, and it has YouTube. I've learned so much from YouTube that's helped me with my gym's content and creating ads and things like that. So that has helped so much. And then even promoting my CycleBar classes. You'll see in my YouTube stories all the time, like my little videos that I make about CycleBar, and it's helped. I've learned so much because of all that I've had to learn for my YouTube channel.
Let's take a step back there, because I guarantee that there's somebody listening to this episode that's in the gym space that, because I've actually had this happen before in the conference that I hosted back in January. I was talking about YouTube in my lesson, and somebody would say, well, I work for a gym. How can YouTube benefit our gym? How would you respond to something like that? How can YouTube help a gym, a big gym like the one you work at?
Yeah. Well, my gym doesn't have its own YouTube channel, but a gym could. You could have workout tips. Like, it doesn't have to be a 20-minute video. It can be 5 minutes. It could be 2 minutes even. Because that will help. Like, someone can look at that channel, but you can build rapport with people, and they would be more likely to come to you because they trust you already, just from the content that you've posted on your channel or Instagram even, so yeah, like tips, tricks, nutrition. There's one gym that I follow that posts like how to make good protein shakes and stuff. So that kind of stuff. And we do have the gym I work for does the Super Fitness Weight Loss Challenge, and we're on the news a lot. So we are on the news YouTube channel, not our own, but on the news one. And so people can kind of get like an insider, like, oh, what are they doing? What is this channel about? And maybe they'll want to join the next challenge because they can see how much fun everybody's having and stuff. So it's helped a lot in that aspect, I believe. With the challenge, people can watch and be like, oh, I want to do this. So
yeah, I will say that just yesterday I had this thought, and somebody can steal this. I'm not going to do anything with it, but I was writing a blog post about circuit training and using the equipment in a gym. And in this blog post, I was providing little tips on little images. I have pictures from content that's in the KIPS personal training manual that's filmed in a gym, and it's on matrix equipment. And so I was looking up online the setup for an individual on a matrix prone leg curl. And the content that I found was one from this company Matrix. It was more about, they were selling it to gyms. There wasn't anything for the consumer. And to the videos that I found on YouTube from gyms. It was poor audio. They tried their best, but that is something that right off the bat there, that is low hanging fruit in my mind. That I was like, wow, if a gym actually showcased to consumers how to use gym equipment.
Yes, that would be perfect. I've done little clips for Super Fitness like, hey, this pin select machine, it has a cheat sheet for you. All you got to do is look or come grab one of us at the desk and we can come show you. Yeah. But if you're too nervous to do that, there's a little cheat sheet. And that would be the perfect piece of content.
That has been something for a long time that I've talked, or even when I used to work at Nesta, we talked about creating a certification on that, talking about machines. I think that over the last 20 years, machines have gone through, I said this in my blog post, a renaissance, because 20 years ago, people were talking about how machines are bad. Machines, they don't work out your stabilizer muscles and all this type of stuff that is not true. When machines are very efficient, effective, and newcomers that can only afford a gym membership, they can go and get a great workout and they're most likely not injure themselves. So
absolutely.
I think that's low hanging fruit there, but going on a little bit of a vent. And I got to get us back into our podcast here with teaching online and teaching live. As someone that does that, how do you feel like the online live relationship works?
Oh my gosh, I am so thankful that I have both because when I'm filming for YouTube, I'm literally in a room by myself. And so I have to keep myself hyped up. Yeah. And so that has helped me be even more hyped in my live classes, because in the live classes, I can feed off the energy and I can see their faces and their reactions and stuff. But even when they're like, when very frequently in a fitness class at the end, everybody's just like zoned out. They're like, I'm tired. Let's just get through the end of this. I can go in YouTube mode and keep like being excited about it. And that helps them get through it better, in my opinion. And so the relationship of both of them has helped me be a better instructor in both ways.
Oh yeah. I've said in different podcast episodes how teaching on YouTube has helped me stay fresh, to keep my cueing, my rhythm of my cueing. There was been times in my career where I've taken breaks from teaching live, and the times that I've gone back to it, I felt out of sync. That what I don't normally say for breaking down an exercise or cueing somebody, it just felt off or delayed. But going from teaching on YouTube to the occasional time that I'll teach live, it's like I never left. The rhythm is there, the timing is there. And I think it does make instructors better, keeps them fresh. Do you think that instructors could go directly to YouTube?
Oh, wow. I guess it depends on the
controversial
person. Yeah. I mean, talking to a camera is very different. Yeah. Talking to nobody is very hard. Yeah. A lot of the instructors that I've seen come in, whatever, at CycleBar, I've seen a lot of instructors, and part of our process is teaching a class to nobody on a camera so that our education team can let them pass, It's but anyway, like I see a lot of people struggling with that coaching to nobody thing. So I don't know that just anybody can do it, but it is something that I think would be extremely beneficial to work towards, because it's going to make you a better instructor, hands down, in my opinion.
I'm going to do a little hot topics here. This is something that I've done in previous podcast episodes where I give you a statement and you're going to react to it. And with these ones, I've tried to think of some things in the YouTube space, but give me your initial reaction. And I will state for the listeners in this one that Jen does not know about any of these. These are things that I had to think.
I'm actually kind of scared now.
I had to think of. And that does give a little bit, pulling the blanket or the sheet away for the past episodes where I have given them to the guests. So first one here is that online workouts are dead.
Oh gosh, I don't think that at all. I think they are just getting started.
Oh. You want to expand on that?
I think that COVID really changed that in a positive way. It's opened up a door for everybody because gym intimidation is absolutely real. Mm-hmm. And I see a lot of very scared people coming into my gym. And,
so true.
Some people just can't even get through the door. And these online workouts are for those people. It's for everybody, but I think specifically those people would benefit extremely from online workouts. And I am excited to see this genre of fitness get bigger.
Great point. I really like that, especially about the gym intimidation. And I say this this is the audience I'm thinking about a lot, is the overwhelming majority of our country does not exercise. So how do we get them to exercise? And I think YouTube and online is a very relevant way for that. Next one here. YouTube is a relevant way for a fit pro to grow.
Oh, yeah. I think so, because your audience is not limited on YouTube. I have people in Uruguay working out with me.
Wow.
I have people who are in just all over the place. The Netherlands, there's somebody in Brazil that's commented, Germany. Like, it's really cool to see that I'm working out around the world with people. So if you're not on YouTube, you're very limited to your space. You're not going, I'm not saying you're not going to get big, but I'm saying like YouTube is going to help you get there faster, in my opinion.
And I dig that. I think that, in 2025, moving forward, how you are building your audience outside of the gym is very important. Something that I talked about in I think it was a podcast, was about how you build value towards the gym. That if you are a fitness trainer that is bringing people in or bringing more of your audience into the gym, when that time comes where you do want to talk to them about, hey, how about a little bit of a pay increase? And you can point towards different members that you have personally brought into the gym that found you on social media in your area. I think that is a very relevant way to say, yeah, I do deserve this raise.
Absolutely. That's part of what CycleBar wants us to do as well. Is it's actually a requirement that we get an Instagram specifically for CycleBar. If you don't have a fitness page already, it's to do community outreach and to make your voice seen or heard in your local area to draw people in. And yeah, it works.
Yeah,
and people see you. And again, circling back to the rapport thing, that you build rapport with people and you don't even know you're doing it through social media.
Yeah. Next one here, last one, is group fitness instructors should teach at multiple locations.
I've been at many places, and I'm very thankful for all of the experiences that I've gotten at each place. I've taught many different formats, from CrossFit to cycling, Zumba, all the things, and each one brings its own element. And I've learned so much from each, and I've used all of those tools that I've learned in each format to be who I am now. I think a lot of that, all of it built, it's just each one was a stepping stone to the next best thing. And I've learned so much with all the different formats that I've taught. So yes, I think as a group fitness instructor, get your butt out there and explore. And then you're going to also find the format that works best for you, because I didn't think I liked cycling at first. I had a bad experience with it as a student many years ago, and I was very opposed to cycling. And then I got an opportunity to teach it, and I'm like, shoot, let's try it. And I'm obsessed with it now.
Yeah.
So that, being open-minded and trying a different format, I actually found something that I'm in love with.
Let's go back to, before we move on to the end here, there is something you mentioned early on about a conversation that you had with CycleBar. And I know that's something that listeners could get a takeaway from. How do you approach that conversation if you are going to be teaching in multiple locations or online? How do you approach that conversation with your manager, and what is some language that you would recommend?
Well, what I did was I was just honest. I was like, I want to do this. What are your thoughts? Because with, like I mentioned, CycleBar specifically is very brand focused, And actually, I'm not allowed to teach indoor cycling at another place, at another gym. So that's why I thought there might be a problem with the YouTube.
Yeah.
But it is not. They look at it as me promoting my class. I'm not supposed to teach my CycleBar formats, but I can be like, this is a taste of what I'm like. Come to my CycleBar and check out those classes, you know? So honesty, that's what got me the okay. Just be like, hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you guys think? And let it go from there.
I think people might be surprised if a gym is forward thinking like that. Because that is, in my opinion, relevant to today's market. That if you, like yourself, that you are growing your presence online, you are growing a YouTube channel, and you share information about the CycleBar that you work at on your channel. Now, all of a sudden, if somebody passes through, I'm pretty sure Toledo or Perrysburg is in Ohio.
It's the general vicinity. Yes.
I had to take a guess about what state it was in, but I'm glad I got it right there. If they were passing by, all of a sudden now they're like, oh, I do want to get a little guest pass action here and come attend a class right there. So that type of thinking, I think, is very relevant for today. Instead of no, you can only teach at this location, and because I think gyms have been forced to start changing their minds on these types of topics. Yes.
The gym that I work for has been around since 1972. Very old school gym. And just since the end of 2024, I finally was like, hey, we need to start texting people and stuff. And so it's just growth through the evolution of technology. You need to keep up with. Oh, by the way, the texting thing has been a game changer for super fitness. But yeah, it's just, you got to keep up on the evolution and exploring what you can get out of YouTube. And then another benefit too with the YouTube is that when my CycleBar people travel, they do my stuff while they're out of town on YouTube, which is really cool. So they can keep up with their fitness while they travel.
And I'm sure that has an impact on your class too, that you are probably, I'm guessing you're one of the most popular at your CycleBar. And because your audience building, you're building your audience so that people see you in person, different screens, different points in their week. That is only a benefit. So that is the market these days that people need to realize. Well, we're going to get to the podcast takeaways here. And with these ones, they are definitely formatted for our topic today of YouTube and how you and I met. And with the podcast takeaways for anybody that's new to listening to the KIPS podcast, these were found. I was watching a documentary on Amazon Prime, and I mentioned that because I feel like it's on there now. It's called Iron Cowboy. It's an individual that did 50 Ironmans in 50 states. It was, and they filmed it. And then I saw back when this app was called Twitter, somebody asked him what are 3 myths about Ironman training, and he shared his thoughts. And it's like, oh, that's a nice question. Let me spin that for the KIPS podcast. So, Jen, what are 3 myths about instructing online workouts?
3 myths about instructing online workouts. The first one that comes to mind is that it's easy. It's not easy. It takes a lot of dedication, and you can't go in with a big ego. If you think you're like, Shaun T, I'm sorry, honey. You got some learning to do.
I like that. That's a good one.
Sorry, not sorry. It's not easy. And, but you do get better. It makes you better. It makes you a better instructor. Absolutely. The next myth would be that you're going to grow like that. I've been doing this for 2 years. Actually, this month is a big month for me. It's CycleBar's anniversary and it's my YouTube anniversary. I've been posting actively for 2 years, and I just got monetized last week. And I am seeing very positive analytics on my channel, but gosh, it took me a long time to get noticed, and I got a long way to go. But growth doesn't happen. I mean, some channels, I suppose, but most of the time it doesn't happen overnight. And then Another thing that comes to mind for people who are like scared to post is that, or one of the reasons people might be scared to post is because they think they're going to get a lot of hate, a lot of negative comments. To be truthful, I've had very, very, very little hate. I thought I was going to get a lot of like, what do you think you're doing or whatever, you're an idiot or, anything. I thought I was going to get a lot of mean stuff. This morning I got called corny. Like I posted a short that said it was cheesy, but that's me. I'm cheesy, and I don't care. Like if that's the worst you gotta say about me, bring it. Yeah, you gotta have that mindset. Like you might get some negativity, but it's not like what. At least for me, it's not what I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to get some really nasty people, and I didn't.
Yeah, I agree. But YouTube, I think, is generally more-ish on the positive side. I think one of the funnier things that someone has told me is that I don't blink in videos, which I thought was pretty funny. But
I didn't notice.
It was I think it was a tutorial for KIPS that someone commented that, and I don't know if I kept the comment or if I responded to it, but I did. It's definitely something that I've remembered and I think about before I film. Am I blinking in this video?
Blink.
But it's you were spot on with all those things, and I can tell listeners that the mindset and your ego are going to be the biggest things that deter you from growing on YouTube. I've worked with a good amount of instructors with online workouts, and the ones with the biggest egos, they often do not last in this space. And it's something that deters them from growing. And that's what we've talked about in this episode, is the evolution of your path on YouTube, is that you are growing as an individual as well. And that goes across different parts of your career. Jen, before we sign off here, can you share your social media and how people can find you?
Absolutely. My YouTube is Jen Tufts Cycling. My last name is spelled Tufts. And making it easy, my Instagram is Jen Tufts _cycling. And I'm also on TikTok, I believe, Jen Tufts Cycling. I do have what used to be called Twitter. I have an X account, but I cannot get my head around X. I don't know, but I'm also on there too. So.
Perfect. And there will be links in the description for listeners to be able to find you more easily. Thank you, Jen, for coming on the KIPS podcast, sharing about your journey and providing valuable insight for those listening.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor to be here.